welcome to Digging In. I'm really excited today to have Dr. Larry Little with us. He has written Crossing the Line, and we have spent time together since about April looking through each chapter. We have been focused in these last few weeks on grit, and no one is better at understanding and helping us look at today, especially taking time for others and ourselves. And so, Larry, you've done an excellent job in writing this book. We've really enjoyed it. It's incredible. And today we're finishing up with kind of the finale of the book here. So first off, thank you for being with us.
I am excited to be with you, but I have to tell you that it's with a little bit of fear and trepidation, because we're talking about the hardest of the grit, analogy. This is the T is difficult.
It is a difficult one. And I'm sure a lot of us are really wanting to hear what wisdom you have around taking care of yourself and taking care of others, and being able to really hone in on, what that looks like, and how do you do that as a busy person involved in so many different things. How do you make that happen? So,
I'm going to have to say, first and foremost, this is more of, do as I say, not as I do. I think at times I don't have this thing figured out. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to do better, but my disclaimer is I'm working on it. But I have learned a lot, and I think research has shown the importance of taking time. It is truly, I think, the key factor in being successful in our relationships, being successful personally. And so many times it's overlooked, right? Mm-hmm. We know, it's important, but so many people are pulling on us. So many things are going on, especially in today's world. We have more information saturating us than ever before. So when we think we're trying to take time, we're really reading lots of data, lots of information that comes into our homes and comes onto our phones. And so it's very difficult to find that space. It is for me. It's a huge challenge, I think. I think as we think about taking time, there are two areas that we want to look at that I think both are important. One is taking time for yourself so that you can take time for others. You can't do that in reverse, really. You really can't invest in others well, take time for them, if you're running on empty all the time. Why? Because you don't have anything to give. It's when I'm at my worst. When I find myself chronically exhausted. I don't have the coping mechanisms. I don't have the patience. I don't have the self-discipline. I don't have the talk. So it makes me hard to live with. It makes me hard to work with. And I'm not my best. I'm not the best person, the best me, if you will, when I'm running on empty. So what's the antidote to that? Fill up. And how do you do that? Take time and make yourself take time. It's so hard though, because even though we know cognitively it's important, behaviorally it's really tempting to give into what's in front of you right now, what needs to be done now. This needs to be done now. I have to do this now. Then I have to do this.
There's another thing.
Right?
If you don't do this, it's going to pile up. Yeah.
Exactly. So, you're stressed about, if I take time, what does that mean? Then I have to make up for it later. And so it's a hard thing. This is not. I'm certainly not trying to make this sound like, just stop and take a nap. That's not it.
Although but that sounds good.
It does. I could use that. Taking time means being intentional, being strategic, realizing the importance, and perhaps most importantly for today's man, today's woman, it's about giving yourself permission. Man, that's hard for me. Give myself permission.
Speak to that. What does it mean to give yourself permission?
Yeah. So we live in this culture that loves to blame and shame, and you ought to and you should, and we look around and we compare and we see others doing. So we allow ourselves to guilt ourselves when we slow down. You should be doing this. Why are you being lazy by stopping and taking a nap? What is that about? Or why are you spending this day accomplishing nothing when there's so much to be done, and all we have to do is pick up our phone and look at what all everybody else is doing and what all they're accomplishing, and you see that and you see that you're not. So we buy the lie that we shouldn't stop because we're wasting time. So we buy the lie that it's a waste of time to renew. We have to kind of debunk that, I think, and say, no, I'm going to take taking time for myself as seriously as I take working and producing and doing the other things that I want to do in life. I found the people that are the most successful at this are people who make it a part of their routine. Right?
It's a habit.
It's a habit.
Okay.
They create a rhythm. They create a habit. They create a. So I never will forget. Years ago, I was in a work situation, and I was young, like in my 20s maybe, but an older gentleman who worked there and was an executive there. He came in, and one of the first things he did when he was hired, I was there when he was hired because he'd moved from another organization. But he brought in this recliner. He brought in this recliner and he put it in his office.
Yeah, kind of that.
Right, just like
Balls back,
totally not an office.
Okay.
And I'm like, what in the world? And I laughed about that, and I just had the most fun about it. But every day, he would get in that recliner and take a nap. He would take a nap, 2:00 nap, whatever. And now that I'm older, I'm like, he knew something. He knew something. But he had created a rhythm just to help him renew on a daily basis. I think that's important. I think taking the opportunity to create rhythms for a more extended renewal. They tell us that when we go away, it takes, several days just to kind of decompress and then several days to renew. I found that to be true in my own life. I'm not I don't find a lot of respite on the weekend. That just doesn't, it's certainly important to stop on the weekend, and those are short term. But I think being intentional about finding those times of respite, times of rest in a longer situation. And it sounds great, but when you have kids running around or you have obligations and you have people, you have parents who are aging, it's incredibly difficult to find. But giving yourself permission to make that a priority and say, okay, I got two things. I'm going to make a priority, kind of a daily time to just stop, and even if it's a few moments, even if it's a few, I find that in the mornings is really good for me to focus on some things and do some things, even through a workout when I'm kind of, my mind's on, not the business or not whatever's at hand. Maybe in the afternoons, there's something to that. Relaxing in the afternoons a bit for a few minutes and thinking about the day and kind of pondering that. Whatever it is you need, whether it's in the morning or the afternoon, but giving yourself time to refocus and find balance for the day. Then being intentional about finding time over longer periods to say, I need to take care of myself. So when I do that, the goal is that you allow yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally to feel back up.
And that's different for everyone, right? I mean, we could even speak to personalities and talk through specifics. But when you slow down and when you're able to work in that rhythm, what does it do for you?
Oh my goodness. It's amazing. So when I slow down and I allow that renewing to take place, the headache that I have during the days, it's gone. The energy level rises. But my curiosity increases and my creativity increases. When I wrote this book, when I've written any book that I write, the books that I've written, I go away. I go to the beach. I intentionally
go away.
Have to. I can't do it here, but I go away. I'm a beach guy, so I love the beach. I can go to the beach. Man, I feel that energy. I feel that creativity. I'm just there. I'm just in that atmosphere, and it renews me. So know what is it that renews your soul. What is it? And it's different for everybody.
So you can be the best.
You would hope.
And offer the best.
Yeah.
In those moments.
And I make myself go. So I try to be intentional about getting down to the beach as often as I can because it's good for me. It's good for my soul. And then when I do that now can I get that renewal going, and I feel like I'm not running on empty all of the time. Now I'm ready to invest in others. The mistake we make is that we try to invest in others when we're empty. We have nothing to give except toxicity a lot of times. So we hurt the people we're trying to invest in. And we're not giving them our best. We're giving them our worst, right? I mean, Just doesn't add up. Sometimes we have to. We have to as parents. We have to give it. We have to go. We have to do. We have to. But not all the time. We need to really. That needs to be the exception, and the rule needs to be we find a rhythm of renewal.
So speak to that, because you've developed a rhythm and you've created muscle around that. So you've had that rhythm for years. I'm assuming for a long time. So what about the person that the rhythm is not there and it's not consistent because of where they are, maybe in the season of life or just the whirlwind that kind of takes hold of them? How do you create that rhythm?
And I challenge them to start small.
Mm-hmm.
Start with a cup of coffee. A time when it's just you sit and you mark out early in the morning. Get up a little early. 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can do as a mom, whatever you can do as a dad. At night, if you're a night person, give yourself some time just to everything's off. I'm just chilling. I may be listening to some music, but having a beverage, and I'm thinking about just decompressing and allowing myself. So I start small. Find the moments and grab them. Give yourself permission and create bubble time. That's what I call it a lot of times. It's bubble time. What is that bubble time that you need? And give yourself permission to say no to all those people pulling on you. And the reason is you can't be what you ought to be for them unless you have your time. That's the way you justify it. I need my time so I can be better for you. I need my time so I can be better for you. And then once you get that habit, then start growing that habit into a rhythm.
So go back and speak to that. I know people in different seasons of life maybe believe more of, I've got to be filled up before I can give. But obviously, life and demand either gives you some of that or takes away some of that. So speak to that just a little more.
Yeah, you can't walk around filled up all the time. It's not real. In today's world, people can't say, well, I'm going to wait till I'm full to invest in someone else. You just can't do it. But what can you do? You can look for ways to take care of yourself. You can look for those moments that you can renew yourself for the purpose of investing in others, for the purpose of, in other words, I want to have a conversation with you, and let's say that I'm stressed, I've had a hard day, and my wife, I need to have a conversation with you. It's an important conversation. I know I'm not ready walking in that door to have that conversation. I'm not ready. I'm empty, and it may look like, hey, give me 30 minutes. I'll come back in. We'll have a conversation. Instead of allowing her to pull me into a situation where I know I'm not going to be the best, and I know I'm not going to respond well, having the discipline to take time away. Give me 30 minutes to slow down, kind of refocus, get the day off of me so that I can focus on you. And that's our choice. We can do the same thing with our children, same thing with those we care about, our significant others. We own that responsibility not to engage into a difficult conversation or not to engage in until we have until we know we can do it well. I'm not talking about emergencies, not talking about there are obviously exceptions. I'm talking about on a daily basis.
I love what you said there. We own that. And if we don't own it, we're giving ownership to other people.
That's correct.
And we know that we've got to lead ourselves. Other people can't lead us in who we are and how we're wired and what we need. So, owning, being able to set some parameters and some limits, knowing how much you can do or can't do, giving yourself the time to form these rhythms so you can take care of yourself. It's a difficult thing, but a very important thing, and something that we can really look at. How do we establish that in the new year? This new year, what do we do to equip ourselves in a stronger way so that we can lead better?
Yeah, and don't fall into the temptation of allowing other people. Nobody will take time for you. Nobody will make you take time for you. Nobody's going to do that. So you have to own that. You have to draw that boundary. And really, it's not selfish at all. You're creating a better you so that you can give yourself to them and be better for them.
And sometimes people have to work through that because they're wired to feel like it is selfish for whatever reasons that they have been through or situations that set them up to respond a certain way. They really have to learn and understand the important piece of taking care of yourself first.
Yeah, that's exactly it. so that you can give yourself to others. And that's a whole different scenario, because many times if I need, for instance, if I need time to step back and in the mornings kind of renew myself so that I can give to others, I can't assume that's what others need. They may not need that. They may need something quite different. So investing in others is figuring out what they need and being there for that, to be present, being engaged, having enough of the fuel filled within me to be present and to be really focused on what they need. They may need me to listen. They may need conversation. They may need my words. They may need me to task, and that's investing, to join them alongside a task. That they may need some brainstorming. They may need all kind of things that they need, tasking or talking or listening, or they may need just me to sit quietly and do. And both of us are quiet, and that fills them. Everybody's tank is different. What fills the kind of gas or fluid that is different, right? So fuel that they need. So figure out what that fuel is and give that to them. Remember that when you're doing that, when I'm giving to you, I'm depleting my fuel. When I'm giving to you, I'm depleting my fuel. So therefore, I have to remember, it's really important to go back and fill my tank so that I can give to you what you need.
And filling that other person up, gives them an opportunity to be able to understand that give and take, right? In a relationship of, you're filling yourself up, fueling yourself up, and the other person has to do the same. It's a great model too in a relationship to be able to understand that give and take. So investing in yourself, you've said in our conversation that's the first part. That's the piece that you really got to focus on and make sure you're doing that, and making sure that it's a rhythm, it's a habit. It's not too much, it's not too less. It's enough. What is that?
Right.
And what does that need to look like? And start small. Try some small things, and then investing in others is being able to understand what they need.
That's right.
Understanding and caring to the place where you can pick up on those cues of what they need to be refueled as well, and giving them the space and room that they need to make that happen. Thank you for today. Thank you for the pieces of really looking at who are we, how do we cross the line? Where are we on the line? And how do we make sure that we're leading others and doing that well? So incredible book.
Thank you.
We've really enjoyed going through this. You need to get this book. If you haven't read it already, you need this. Your year will go so much better if you process through these tools, these concepts, you practice them. It'll be an incredible year for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the opportunity to listen and learn from you today. Thank you for you listening to this, and we challenge you to go dig in.
To learn more about the concepts from this video, you can find Dr. Larry Little's book, Crossing the Line, available to purchase on Amazon and our website, eaglecenterforleadership.com. You can also find the podcast, Crossing the Line with Larry Little, available on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or online at eaglecenterforleadership.com. Thank you for watching.